morning, everyone, and welcome to worship with the First Unitarian Church of San Jose. We love to start our worship services by filling ourselves up with the breath of life and connecting through the power of song. And that's just what we're going to do here at the start of worship, even though we won't be able to hear each other. What you're going to hear is our song of the month for this month of March that's focused on wisdom. The song is called From Wisdom Emerging, and it's by Larry E. Schultz, who has given us special permission to use this online. If you aren't muted right now, please do find a way to mute yourself. Thank you so much. We all need to be muted in order to enjoy the music. Now, we listened to you from last week. We know you need some help with the melody. So Chris Pasillas, who recorded all the songs, has recorded the melody line first, and then a little introduction, and then we'll sing the four verses of the hymn itself. So listen and get that melody in your ear through the beginning. And those of you who are on camera will know when the first verse begins. If you could see me, you'll in your little thumbnail pictures, if you could see me, you'll know how to start singing that first verse when you see my lips moving. Those of you on the phone, we are so very glad you are here. I'm sorry we can't somehow squeeze these lyrics out to you, but I hope you'll enjoy the music and just enjoy the bounce of this tune. One more thing, every single one of you has control over your own volume. We can't control that for you, so please do take care of yourselves in that way. And so now I will mute myself and the music will begin.
You're muted, Nancy, for me.
You're muted, Nancy.
I'm so glad I'm the first to make that mistake. Darlings, let's remember to only keep ourselves unmuted all the time unless we're one of the speakers, and I'll be the first to try to remember that. Dear ones, old systems redressing, new patterns arrange, we sing in that fourth verse. What a time this is, I think. What an opportunity we humans have in this very crisis to look at how old systems oppress and misuse, and to vow to dismantle those old systems that hurt some people more than others. What a time this is to practice arranging new patterns and new ways of living together that really honor and celebrate and protect all of us, all our kindred. And that's a big part of what our mission at First Unitarian means when we say we are here to learn how to and to make love visible in all that we say and do. So we have choices every single day, my darlings, every day. What a time this is to practice being and creating what we want to see in this world. We're going to find the joy as well as the challenge in all of this in our theme for today, which is wisdom from the margins, honoring the Transgender Day of Visibility and also bringing our whole selves in radical welcome into this space. So we're so glad that you are all here. We in this community are people of many genders and sexualities. Gender identities and diversity are sacred. We cherish racial and ethnic and financial diversities, the diversity of our beliefs, the diversity of the size, shape, and color of our beautiful bodies, and of what they are capable of or incapable of at any moment. All of these qualities and identities and so much more make up who each of us truly is. So we welcome you as your whole self to this sacred time and place that we will create together. I'm the Reverend Nancy Palmer Jones. I get to serve as senior minister of this beloved community. I'm in my 15th year, about to celebrate the 15th anniversary of my call to this congregation. Susie Idzik is our interim director of religious education. She is waving her hand there for those of you who can see her. She's keeping an eye on both on Facebook to send people over to this Zoom room if they happen to show up there, as well as helping with the tech. Linda Yepes, our office manager, is running the show so beautifully, and so I'm so grateful to this incredible team that also includes John Ector, our choir director. You'll hear him help us lead us in singing most of the rest of the hymns. Diane Sychek is our amazingly creative Sunday morning accompanist. Christopher Pasillas is our choir accompanist who recorded all of the songs that we'll sing together today. And Alicia, Reagan, Jenny, Christina, Jiang are our teachers, and Edgar and Shawn are our custodians. We share all of these names every single Sunday because our names represent a part of who we really are, and we want to model that for all of you. So we hope that you will find time, maybe in the breakout rooms that we'll experiment with during social hour, to share your names with each other and to ask how you are really. How are you really in these times? When we light our chalices in just a little bit after the welcome and announcements and the musical meditation, I hope that after you've lit your chalice or your candle, that you'll actually go into the chat and say chalice lit on, and then tell your location. So for instance, I'll write chalice lit on South 15th Street, San Jose. Since we're from all over the country and maybe all over the world today, it will be wonderful to see that light grow across these expansive miles. Now, the chat feature in Zoom, here are some notes about that. It is glorious to be able to share what touches us by posting those words or phrases in the chat. Use emojis or note what words inspire you. It's like a beautiful amen chorus to what's going on. And if the chat distracts you, just push the chat button again, and I believe that the big column of chat will disappear, and you'll only see that, maybe the numbers of chat will show up, but you don't have to look at it. We ask that you do a couple of things to help make this feel really worshipful. First of all, we ask that you don't offer us any tech advice while we're in worship. You can offer it afterwards, especially if you give it in that kudos sandwich, which really worked awesomely this last week, giving us a little appreciation and then giving us some suggestions. I noticed this happened. I wonder if you could do that. That's a fantastic way to do it. And then giving us praise and love at the end as well. Awesome. Really makes a difference to all our spirits. But we don't need the tech advice right now. We've worked really hard. We're going to figure it out. Let's just stumble through, okay? I know a lot of you are really good at this, so hold on to yourselves and share your expertise a little later. The other thing is that while we're doing reflections, and we have quite a few this morning, while we're doing reflections, if you could also refrain from chatting during those reflections, that would be amazing too. Bless you for all of that self-control. If you turn off all your other apps and programs in your devices, you're likely to get a better Wi-Fi connection and a better stream. There won't be such jumpiness. Your connection may be more stable. So that's another tip to help you out. Now I have just a couple of announcements. Please do join me for a new thing that we're doing every week, lunch with Reverend Nancy on Tuesdays at noon, and coffee with Reverend Nancy on Thursday mornings at 9. I have put the times and the dates and the Zoom links, which are special for those two occasions, in the All Church email that I sent out yesterday. I think it was yesterday, maybe it was Friday. At any rate, we'll keep sending those links out in All Church email. If you're not on All Church email, please do join us. All you have to do is send Linda Yepes an email at office@sanjoseuu.org. office@sanjoseuu.org. And then you can be truly connected to this beautiful community. I hope you will watch All Church emails for the news about our annual elections meeting, our congregational meeting that's happening this very next Sunday, April 5th at 12:30, right after worship. You will hear from our leaders about how we'll be voting on our new elected leaders, volunteer leaders in our congregation, and we want everybody to be able to participate. I think that's it for now. So let us return to this sense of creating sacred space together. Let's take a deep, deep breath. And let us rebuild that energy we had at the start by singing just verse 4 from Wisdom Emerging. Linda will put the lyrics on the screen and we'll hear that tune. Yep, I got it this time. Oh, there we go. I'm inviting everyone to bring their chalices and candles forward. I'll invite Marnie Singer to lead us in saying the words for the chalice lighting, which will be on your screen, and we will light together. And then we'll take just a moment, and I'll invite you to go down into the chat and type chalice lit on, and then your address or street name and city name. I'll write chalice lit on South 15th Street as a model. We'll be able to watch the light spread. Marnie?
We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of service. Next, I am lighting this candle of recognition for the Nanticoke and Lenni Lenape peoples who graced the land in the area we now call Delaware, where I grew up and where I now sit. And now we light this candle of recognition for the Tamian people who graced the land we now call San Jose. We honor their resilience in the face of the devastating harm brought on them by the colonial settlers. And now we lift up with joy the resilience of their neighbors, the Amamutsan band, with whom we are working to preserve their holy land of Urastak.
When we visit singer-songwriter Namali Brennet's website and we click on her bio, she leads us on this wonderful journey, winding from the most public level, simply called short bio, into a little more, and then to a series of beautiful, intimate paragraphs, really a kind of small memoir that she titles More Than You Wanted to Know. But it turns out that it's exactly what we want to know, because we get to know her journey, her trials, her humor, her depth. At age 3, she says, she is gifted with a drum set. At age 3, she is gifted with a drum set. And after a few months of banging away, she has the bright idea to jump through them and create hula hoops out of them. And her parents aren't sure whether to be relieved or horrified. At age 8, she's studying guitar with a wonderful musician. And she says that it's at about this time that she has, quote, the first inkling that there's something different about her. I didn't have words for it at the time, she says. But a few years later, I would read something about a transsexual and feel like it was the closest I could come to describing myself. I grew up in a very strict Catholic family, she says, and was even an altar boy for a while. So I filed this revelation away under things I should probably keep to myself. A couple of decades later, it's the late 1990s, the dawn of the internet, and Namali finally starts learning more about trans people. And at the same time, she returns to songwriting after a long and troubled break. So she says the recovery of the self and the recovery of creativity are almost impossible to separate. And I was on some kind of quest to find both. Her quest leads to her transition and to her vibrant career as a songwriter. People, stories, every quest, every journey, so sacred. The recovery of the self and the recovery of creativity are almost impossible to separate. On this day, when we honor the Transgender Day of Visibility, may we give thanks for the quest that Namali and others have undertaken and the great gifts that they bring. Beloveds, love really is the doctrine, the main teaching of this church. So will you please say our affirmation with me? We say it in English and then in Spanish to honor yet another kind of diversity that we celebrate. Please do keep yourselves muted so that we just hear one voice. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls may grow into harmony with the divine. This do we covenant with one another. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento. y el servicio es su oración. Habitar juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con libertad y servir a la humanidad juntos con el fin de que todas las almas puedan crecer en armonía con lo divino. Esto es lo que pactamos unos con otros. Our story for all ages today is written by a girl named Jazz Jennings, who ends up not only writing this book, but having her own TV show for a while. It's a story about what can happen when someone who feels different is seen and understood and loved and supported for exactly who they truly are. A lot of people who are transgender don't get the support that Jazz finds. And that's why it's important for us to know her story so that we can create a good story, a loving story, a welcoming story for everyone. Here is Jazz.
Hello, this is Jazz Jennings, and I am going to do a reading of my book, I Am Jazz. I am Jazz. For as long as I can remember, my favorite color has been pink. My second favorite color is silver, and my third favorite color is green. Here are some of my other favorite things: dancing, singing, backflips, drawing, soccer, swimming, makeup, and pretending I'm a pop star. Most of all, I love mermaids. Sometimes I even wear a mermaid tail in the pool. My best friends are Samantha and Casey. We always have fun together. We like high heels and princess gowns, or cartwheels and trampolines. But I'm not exactly like Samantha and Casey. I have a girl brain, but a boy body. This is called transgender. I was born this way. When I was very little, and my mom would say, "You're such a good boy," I would say, "No, Mama, good girl." At first, my family was confused. They'd always thought of me as a boy. As I got a little older, I hardly ever played with trucks or tools or superheroes, only princesses and mermaid costumes. My brothers told me this was girl stuff. I kept right on playing. My sister says I was always talking to her about my girl thoughts and my girl dreams and how one day I would be a beautiful lady. She would giggle and say, "You're a funny kid." Sometimes my parents let me wear my sister's dresses around the house, but whenever we went out, I had to put on my boy clothes again. This made me mad. Still, I never gave up trying to convince them. Pretending I was a boy felt like telling a lie. Then, one amazing day, everything changed. Mom and Dad took me to meet a new doctor who asked me lots and lots of questions. Afterward, the doctor spoke to my parents, and I heard the word transgender for the very first time. That night at bedtime, my parents both hugged me and said, "We understand now. Be who you are. We love you no matter what." This made me smile and smile and smile. Mom and Dad told me I could start wearing girl clothes to school and growing my hair long. They even let me change my name to Jazz. Being Jazz felt much more like being me. Mom said that being Jazz would make me different from the other kids at school, but that being different is okay. What's important, she said, is that I'm happy with who I am. Being Jazz caused some other people to be confused too, like the teachers at school. At the beginning of the year, they wanted me to use the boys' bathroom and play on the boys' team in gym class, but that didn't feel normal to me at all. I was so happy when the teachers changed their minds. I can't imagine not playing on the same team as Casey and Samantha. Even today, there are kids who tease me, or call me by a boy name, or ignore me altogether. This makes me feel crummy. Then, I remember that the kids who get to know me usually want to be my friend. They say I'm one of the nicest girls at school. I don't mind being different. Different is special. I think what matters most is what a person is like inside. And inside, I am happy. I am having fun. I am proud. I am jazz. I know that it's hard living in this world and that sometimes people just don't understand. But if you just stay strong and keep moving forward and just stay true to who you are no matter what, then one day things will get better and you will be able to live your life as your true and authentic self. So always love yourself and always spread that love to the world around you because you are beautiful no matter what.
In honor of dear, wonderful, amazing Jazz, let's all sing, "How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful?" And because this is for Jazz, and indeed for all out there taking similar journeys, I've taken some liberties with the song and jazzed it up a bit. You just sing it how you know it. Now, the lyrics are also going to be posted in the chat window, so I'd like to kindly ask folks to just kind of refrain from posting chat comments during the song so that everyone can continue to see the lyrics and sing along. This is How Could Anyone?
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Jazz. And you know, at the end of those lyrics, that's an exclamation mark, how deeply you're connected to my soul, not a question mark. I bet that was my typo. It's an exclamation mark. Friends, last fall, more than 20 of us in this congregation participated in a class called Transgender Inclusion in Congregations. It is awesome. It offers an amazing experience transcending any one angle or identity when we think about how we can create beloved community. It really teaches us how to do that in every case. As long ago as last December, we decided that today, in honor of Transgender Day of Visibility, some members of this class would bring you a taste of what we learned. You can actually watch this class now too yourselves. It's on video and we own those videos now. We're part of the team and it's perfect timing because we're all stuck at home. So why not dive in and watch these 6 one-hour videos. I'm going to be telling you more about how you can access them later after some of these reflections. But first, Frey, we really can't wait to hear what you have to share. So please do unmute yourself and let's hear your reflection. There you go.
Okay. I'm getting some messages on my screen from my computer that my internet is unstable. So I hope this works all right. Right here from Silicon Valley. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little about the presenters of the Transgender Inclusion in Congregations video course, Michael and Alex, and their UU experiences of being welcomed as transgender people. and also something about my own experience. But first, I want to tell you about the results of an important UU survey that was done in 2018 called Experiences of Trans Unitarian Universalists. Trans is used expansively here to cover people whose gender identities do not align with the sex they were assigned at birth. About 275 trans UUs responded to this survey. Okay, so who are trans UUs? Based on this survey, the majority of trans UUs are non-binary. That is, they do not identify exclusively as women or men. They have diverse sexualities. They have a disability. They are young adults. They are white and attend a UU congregation at least once a month. So that's what the majority response was. When compared with the Unitarian Universalist population as a whole, trans UUs are far more low income, are more likely to have been raised UU, which I think is interesting, are younger, and are more racially diverse. Other questions were, what are the experiences of trans UUs in our congregations? Regarding spiritual connection, only 44% of trans UUs feel spiritually connected in their congregation. Regarding inclusion, 72% of trans UUs do not feel as though their congregation is completely inclusive of them as trans people. The least inclusion was experienced by people of color, young adults, and non-binary people. Regarding marginalization, 42% of trans UUs regularly experience trans-related marginalization in UU spaces. The survey concludes, UU congregations are not currently safe, affirming, and spiritually fulfilling for the majority of trans people, and changing this will require grappling with the intersections of gender, sexuality, race, class, disability, and age. And now I'm quoting Alex about the survey. So you can't just create welcome that's based on gender and expect that's actually going to be enough to create a sense of welcome and belonging for the majority of trans UUs, when the majority of trans UUs are also holding so many other marginalized identities. The leaders of the video course on transgender inclusion are Michael Slack, a UU minister with Black Lives of UUs, and Alex Capitan, a lay community minister and educator. They are both trans. They are with the Transforming Hearts Collective that made this course. Michael identifies as a man of transgender experience. Alex identifies as gender non-binary. They gave examples from their own experiences of not being welcomed in UU congregations. Michael, after participating as a leader in a UU service, told someone he was a UU Christian, and the person expressed disbelief, leaving Michael feeling hurt and unsupported. As a youth, Alex, who was raised UU, was discouraged from participating in a youth-led UU service in a manner in which Alex had felt comfortable. It was a factor in Alex leaving UU participation for some time. In both cases, they felt they were not being allowed to be their whole authentic selves, and their feelings of being unwelcome were not even about being transgender. Imagine if these instances happened to a trans person already feeling vulnerable who is new to a Unitarian Universalist congregation, rather than to someone well familiar with UU congregations. Seemingly small slights can lead to fateful decisions. As a trans person myself, I have had my own experiences of marginalization here in this congregation. I have been referred to many times by my old gender pronouns, even by my old name. This is considered marginalization in the survey. I tend to pass it off. I have been a member of this congregation since well before I transitioned 17 years ago from female to male. Describe myself in more detail as gender non-binary trans masculine. There are many people here who knew me before and have had to adapt to my changes. And I really appreciate those who have adapted well. I've always felt generally welcomed here. I'm sure this relates in part to my past history with this congregation. I arrived as an apparently straight person going through a divorce, or later lived as a single parent, and thought I must be a lesbian before eventually finding my own way. No one here questioned my changes, the changes that I went through. I know there are white privilege and economic privilege and male privilege within Unitarian Universalism. But I know what Unitarian Universalism has to offer as a guide to living, like its mantra of love, truth, and service, all in many forms. I haven't questioned if I belong because it is these values, the principles and sources, all the aspirational ideals that show what Unitarian Universalism can be. These are what I believe in. And there are the friendships I've made here with so many kind, generous, and dedicated people. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Frey. It's like going to Namali Brennet's website, getting to hear your quest, your journey, that deeper and deeper depths of getting to know each other. Thank you so much. Catherine Trask also took part in the Transgender Inclusion class, and she comes to this work from a very crucial perspective. So Catherine, I see you've unmuted yourself. Please would you share?
Thank you. My husband and I decided to take the 6-week Transgender Inclusion class offered by our church for a couple of reasons. One, we both work with youth in our community. He is a high school teacher and I as a juvenile court judge. And two, because after 30 years as a couple, we still love doing activities together, not to mention that the class was free. In my work as a presiding judge of the Juvenile Division of the Santa Clara County Superior Court, I see day in and day out how our adolescents are managing in this supercharged environment of Santa Clara County. If I see them in juvenile justice court, it is because they are not managing well. When I learned that research done by Dr. Angela Irvine of UC Santa Cruz showed that 40 to 50% of the girls in the juvenile justice system in the state of California and in Santa Clara County identify as LGBTQ-NC, gender nonconforming, I was especially aware of the moral imperative that I had to learn as much as I could about the transgender community. For each child that I see in court, I am critically aware that they are at a crossroad. And my goal is to see that young person, to hear that young person, and to above all, not add to that young person's sense of failure. No one should ever be defined by their worst moment. Once we sort out the case, do what we can to make the victim whole, then our mandate is one of radical affirmation, gender and culturally responsive healing, connection, and kinship. I struggled with how to address youth in court, how to create a welcoming courtroom environment, how to make sure custodial settings were accommodating, and how to promote self-determination in case planning. I was afraid I would say the wrong thing, refer to them by the wrong pronoun, or appear shallow and uninformed about their lives. In my quest to be good at it, I felt stunted and inauthentic. Taking the transgender inclusion class changed that. Cornel West says that justice is love made visible, and justice is much more than the application of law to facts. True justice is the pouring in of compassion with an attitude that we who are charged with such soul-caring work must do whatever it takes to help another become who they came here to be. I learned in the class that any discomfort, misinformation, or hesitation that I had about serving transgender youth was based on the same 400 years of racism, sexism, and dominant culture oppression of the other that has interrupted our society from forming true partnerships with one another based on mutual respect and understanding forever, separating us into categories. The same root, just a different sense of separation. It sounds so elementary, but I learned again the wisdom of the ages, that we are all the same, we always have been, and we always will be, and that we are better together, not separated by illusion and fear. There is nothing for me to figure out, and no one needs to explain anything. We are they are we. What a relief. What sweet freedom.
Our next hymn is the African-American spiritual from the time of slavery, Hush. Like so many of these songs, Hush carries messages of hope, perseverance, and at times a chance for freedom, originally on the Underground Railroad. No doubt many an enslaved African-American heard the song, sang its message, and pondered the opportunity for freedom, asking, am I being called to make this journey? All these years later, this song still invites many more to ask about undertaking their own journey to freedom. I welcome the partnership I was able to put together on this piece with my good friend Christopher Pasillas. This is Hush.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? I'm so last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Yes, so much richness to these words and thoughts and feelings in this beautiful gift of music. Someone that I knew while I was in divinity school, now Reverend Canon Stephanie Spellers, gets mentioned in this transgender inclusion class because she's written a wonderful book called Radical Welcome. And Reverend Michael Slack and Alex Capitan, the creators and teachers of our class, describe what she means by the 3 different kinds of welcome that congregations can offer, not just for transgender folks, but for everyone. The first kind of welcome is invitation. The door's open, come on in. All are welcome here, the signs say out front, and people say from the pulpit every Sunday. The congregation works hard to create systems and programs that will integrate newcomers into the existing structures and the existing identity of the congregation. So the underlying message turns out to be, it's not intentional, but this is its impact. It's come on in and join our community and share in our values, our cultural values, our heritage. Be like us. If folks aren't able to assimilate, they can feel that they're not really so welcome after all, and many leave. The second type of welcome is inclusion. You know, these are all great words, right? These are all words that we cherish, and they are great words on their own, but Stephanie has divided these into types of welcome, and you can hear the subtle nuances and differences between them if you listen really closely. Here we go. Inclusion. In this case, there's a real hunger in the congregation for diversity. These congregations often create new programs designed to attract and to include people from marginalized groups. They may create an LGBTQIA youth group, for example, or maybe even our own Spanish-speaking ministries of days past was an example too of this kind of welcome. Now, these programs are beautiful. Our theology is so powerful, compelling, attractive. People come. But with the inclusion type of welcome, the change in the congregation doesn't go past the program level. The norms and the expectations about what kind of leadership, what kinds of meetings, what kinds of worship we have, they all stay the same. There's no real culture shift, no change in those deeper levels of cultural characteristics and identities. So that's why groups like Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism have formed, so that Unitarian Universalism can be lived and experienced. This religion that Black Unitarian Universalists love to the bottom of their souls, it can be lived and worshiped and experienced in the language, in the forms that match their needs. And then there's the third type of welcome, the radical kind. The goal of radically welcoming congregations is incarnation. I'm quoting Reverend Michael and Alex now from the class. Radical welcome is rooted in mutual relationships and in allowing ourselves, all of us allowing ourselves to be transformed by these relationships. These congregations put systems and programs and structures in place that ensure that marginalized perspectives and values and gifts influence the very core of who we are, that all people who are part of our community get to see themselves fully reflected in the leadership and the culture, the worship that we co-create together. With Radical Welcome, we're constantly bringing in new voices and perspectives and new visions so that our shared culture keeps transforming through this process of shared co-creation. Radical welcome. So, beloveds, which kind of welcome do we want to offer? Let's take a breath. And let's hear one more reflection that has an evangelical quality to it from Joyce.
Hi, everybody. My job today has always been to give a strong plug for you all to watch the 6 videos in the class called Transgender Inclusion in Congregations. But when I sat down to write this reflection, I realized it had been a long time since we held the class last fall, and besides, I had to miss a couple of sessions. How could I tell you about it if it wasn't clear in my own mind? So I sat down to watch all 6 of the class videos in a row on Friday. And I am so glad I did. I am blown away at the brilliance of how each session builds on the one before it. And the richness of the content is dazzling. It's an amazing experience just taking in the artistry of the class itself. But you probably also want to know what I learned and what transformation, if any, did I experience. The most vivid aha moment for me came when I realized that as a nurse, I was thinking too much about the transgender folks' bodies. Instead, what's important is understanding someone's life experiences and who they are as persons, just like any other relationship. How about that? This realization made me wonder how many other times I have put barriers up that have kept me from deepening relationships. How many other times have I thought about a category or one small aspect of someone's identity instead of getting to appreciate the whole person? Talk about transformation. That really happened to me. The class also spoke to me to my fear of making mistakes about someone's gender or pronouns. It taught me that when I keep an open heart and open mind, even if I make mistakes, and I will, I remain in relationship with the person and I can be transformed by them. The hope of Michael and Alex, the writers and presenters of this class, whom you've already heard about, is to support congregations and other faith groups in moving toward transforming their culture into one, quote, where people of all gender identities and histories can bring their full selves, get their spiritual needs met, and bring their gifts forward. Isn't that exactly who we want to be here at First Unitarian Church at San Jose?
May I offer a benediction? If there has ever been a time when we have needed to break open our hearts, to make them larger still, to create that quality of vulnerable, radical welcome where we are ready to be changed by all whom we meet. It is this time, my darlings. Let us be attuned to those who are being harmed in this era. Let us be attuned to those who are hurting. those whose life circumstances may be so different from our own, let us be attuned to the love that is pouring towards us, even in these moments of trouble. May we know that we are creating a radically welcoming, beloved community, broken, open-hearted, vulnerable, honest, and ongoing. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. Ishtan Adjon. And blessed be.